TikToker named Ghostwriter just created a viral smash featuring Drake and The Weeknd. However, it's not Drake and The Weeknd, it's AI. This is getting crazy. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. We have the song in question. We also have Christopher Melcher, attorney at law, to help us break down, is this legal? Christopher, this is fascinating. The last thing I can think of like this is the whole Napster debate when music was streaming in the first place, but now they're recreating artists and getting viral with it. I imagine you got some thoughts on this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and this is we've seen this coming, but I think that the legal standards are really trailing behind the pace at which AI has been able to generate this content, if you want to call it content. So yeah, lots to unpack here.
Yeah, so before we get there, I'm going to play the song because I don't think a label owns it yet. So we'll see if it stays up. If this part gets trimmed from the video, well then, I couldn't play it. But here's the, sorry, I'm going to play it again. Here's the song. So this is from, I hate TikTok. This is a user on TikTok named Ghostwriter977, allegedly. We're going to talk about who this person could be. Is it Drake? Is it The Weeknd? Is it someone else trying to have a viral moment? Either way, this is a song that they claim they used AI to make. Here it is.
I came in with my ex like Selena, the flex, bumping Justin Bieber, the fever and left. She know what she need, or she blessed, giving my best. Yeah, I got my heart on my sleeve with a knife in my back. What's with that? 21, I love him, then my brother, that's my stack. Metro made the beat, so you know that it's gon' slap. Yeah, it's gon' slap. Time, run it back. Talking to a diva, yeah, she on my nerves. She think that I need her, kick her to the curb. All I know is you could've had the world, yeah, you were my world.
Got these girls on my neck, got these girls on my check. Like Selena, baby, on my cheating, baby, yeah. She taking a Lambo for a drive.
Okay, so there you get a sense of it. If anything, this teaches me that anybody can be these artists. It's kind of crazy in its own right. Is this music good? Well, that's a whole separate video. I feel so old now. Now I relate to my parents. But anyway, it's serious. It's true. Like anybody, I guess, can just take the sound and now throw a loop in, and everyone now starts grooving. But this song is doing well. It's already out for less than a day. It already has, I don't know how they're already verified on Spotify, 82,000 monthly listeners. On my, as of taping, 253,982 streams since this morning on Spotify alone. It's all over YouTube now. The TikTok has 1 point something million, and it's only been out for a little bit. How do I check that? Here it is. 1.3 million, 1.5 million, 9.3 million on the song. That actually blew up since it happened. So, Christopher, this is pretty massive. I imagine labels seeing millions of views go to a song attributed to Drake and The Weeknd aren't going to be happy by this. What is this legal? Let's go there. How are the labels going to react, do you think?
Well, they have been reacting for a long time with the recording industry and also Writers Guild. Producers of films have been looking at this from their various different angles. And so they're already trying to put out some guidelines of saying, okay, where are the limits of this thing? So if you go back, and I'm just going to talk about U.S. law because that's all I know, under U.S. copyright law, that we have protection for original works that are created and fixed in a medium. So it's writing a song, like the lyrics of the song, or creating a recording of that song. And that's been interpreted as by a human. So there was like a selfie by, I think it was in some kind of animal created a selfie, and somebody tried to
remember
protect.
it was a monkey. It was like a orangutan or something, right? Took the picture of the selfie. I remember this. Yes.
Yeah, the monkey selfie, and they tried to get protection for that, and they couldn't because it was the monkey who created that work, and it was not a human. So there was no, there was nothing there. Also somebody tried to do something about a garden, where they were, just naturally like creation of whatever, however plants arrange themselves. No. It has to be a human input. And that's key to this whole thing. And when you look at how kind of we're viewing AI, basically it's a regurgitation somehow of human created content. If you didn't have a library, a vast library like we do of artwork, human created works, AI couldn't do anything with it. So it's through taking or feeding, ingesting into the AI generator massive amounts of whatever you want to have the AI generator copy, that the AI could actually spit something out. And so that's the way that I believe the Writers Guild has come down on it, because they were concerned, like film producers would say, hey, we can just get rid of the writers. We can just ingest, 100 years of scripts from movies and then just say, hey, create us whatever. And so, and then also questions about the writers relying upon AI generators to create content, and is that copyrightable? So the way that they've come down on it is basically to say, look, we recognize this technology exists, and we're using it as an aid. And so, sure, if a writer wants to go and put a bunch of stuff into, an AI thing and spit out some content, they can look at that for ideas and saying like, oh, wow, I never thought of those connections before. But then they have to actually transform that and create their own work and verify I created my own work. The problem legally that comes up from all this is copying, the original work. And so under U.S. law, like if there's copyrightable work and then you go and copy that, well, that's infringement. And if they're able to find the AI generator that was used for creation of this new work, or allegedly new work, they would be able to prove the copying element, or at least the knowledge of that original work, because it was part of the human created content that was ingested here into the AI generator to do it. So here in the Drake and Weeknd, alleged whatever song or AI generated song, they would have explicitly fed into the AI generator Drake and Weeknd lyrics, voices to create the new content. So they are copying it. Legally, we can copy stuff for parody, like we see that all the time. Saturday Night Live, for example, is constantly parodying things. And that's fine, because anyone watching Saturday Night Live would know that this is a parody. It's a joke. It's humorous. It's not a copying or passing off of the original work as something that Saturday Night Live owns. They're explicitly making fun of it. And in the U.S., we have a First Amendment right to make fun of stuff. But here, this song, this appears fraudulent. This is a passing off, even though there's all kinds of notations at the bottom. Drake and The Weeknd had nothing to do with this, This appears, if anyone were just watching this, to think like, oh no, this is them. So seems to be fraudulent passing off of new work as if it was created by Drake and The Weeknd. And that is, in my view, a copying that infringes on their work, and then also of course, their name and likeness and the quality of their voice.
Yeah, it's interesting. You said that, because I was just about to ask you the follow-up, which is if you go to the Spotify, it says Ghostwriter, and it just has a logo, no Drake, no Weeknd. If this artist didn't attribute them at all, and it sounds like them, which honestly, I hear it doesn't sound exactly like them, could you pass it? Could you just do a riff with a Eminem-style rapper, not say it's Eminem, and think they'd have a better argument? And the reason I bring it up is this was clearly Eminem, but DJ David Guetta actually did this live. He's a very respected artist. He did a whole section of his song in one of his sets where he had an AI generated Eminem verse rap over using artificial intelligence. Said, let me introduce you to M-N-A-I-M. It's getting crazy, but could someone get away with this if they didn't specifically say, look, it sounds like Drake and The Weeknd?
Well, sure. I mean, if you look at, I don't know if I have the saying right, but art imitates art. If we forget all the AI stuff for a moment, how many people, how many singers have imitated Elvis Presley growing up? So if you're from if you were in the 60s, you probably had a lot of artists who were emulating Elvis Presley's voice or style. And we could go back pretty much anyone who's been super successful as in any kind of art medium, has been copied. And that's like maybe the ultimate sign of respect, is that that person has been such a huge influence that other people want to essentially copy them, not in a way that's fraudulent, but it's just inspired by. And so there's nothing wrong with being inspired by. And but the thing is that, you know, here this I mean, it kind of portrays it as if it were them, even though sure there's a disclaimer. How many people read the disclaimer? And it's like, in my mind, it's like, okay, how do I know if this is some kind of creation here by somebody had nothing to do with Drake or The Weeknd, or is this Drake doing it himself as some publicity stunt? You know, there's questions about that, because it's so similar that you wouldn't know without doing a whole bunch of research on whether he's behind this or not. So
Yeah,
I think this goes too far.
Yeah, you brought up the quote, which I'm going to say, who is behind this? This guy, Mitchell Cohen, put out a thread, which is a very smart thread, but someone probably is behind this. They say it's a genius marketing stunt, which would make sense. This group SaaS startup is who they think. They basically went down and figured out how it connected to this site where you can do phone calls called Leo. Who else would do this? Why would Drake do this to call us? Anyway, this is sort of, as he did his due diligence here, it does sure seem like this Lelo site was trying to have some big stunty thing happen, and that was their prediction. The creator loves Drake. Is this who it is? They're now getting millions of impressions. So yeah, likely it also could just be some dude in their room who has a good AI program and wanted to break TikTok. So it's one of those things. It's somebody trying to probably get some press on their brand, or it is just some kid. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. So how do you think the labels are going to respond as we wrap this up? Do you think they will respond to this?
Well, they have to. And what they're trying to do is, what they need to do is keep the AI generators from scraping, you know, that's a term of art, but scraping their data. So what I'm talking about particularly is to saying like, hey, we don't want, or the record company does not want, an AI generator to be able to access their catalog of songs and take that data to then use to create some new work. And so that's what they're going to try to do. And we've seen this in other settings where we've had, you know, content aggregators who have gone into whatever other successful sites, take their data and then reposition it, you know, repackage it as something else. So that's where they really need to get involved in saying like, hey, if the AI generator is going to access, you know, 100 songs out of the Drake catalog and then create some, you know, spit out something new, well, there has to be a licensing fee for that, because they're just creating that for some other commercial endeavor that's not transformative, it's not original work, it's not parody. They're just basically, I think like you had mentioned previously about almost like Napster, it's like, okay, what, you know, when that got started, there was nothing transformative about it. It was just basically taking copyrighted, protected material and then redisplaying it on a website. That's not transformative. So that's where that's where the main line of attack, I think, is going to be, is not against these individual people who are posting stuff that can come and go, is to go after the AI sites like a Chat GPT and saying like, hey, if your website is, you know, your AI generator is going to access our protected content to create something, you need to pay us a license fee. And if you're not paying us a license fee that we agree upon, you are now infringing. I think that's what their next move is.
They also wanted those songs off the internet and not be streaming, and that sure didn't net out the way they thought it would. So it'll be interesting to see how they actually pull this off. I'm very curious. But there you go. Very fascinating story. We'll keep you privy to it, and it'll be interesting to see if Drake or The Weeknd do. Drake has previously talked about this. There was one quote, I thought I had it here, but he did previously say, when Drake recently expressed his pleasure of his voice being cloned. This is the final straw AI. He posted on Instagram after stumbling across a fan-made video that appeared to be rapping. He didn't like it, I guess. So it'll be interesting to see how either of these artists sort of use this as an example to be the, what was it? It was Lars of Metallica became the poster child for the Napster debate Will an artist step up and try to become the poster child for stopping AI creation? We shall see. So stay tuned. Make sure you follow Christopher Melcher as well on Twitter. Give him a follow so you can get all his analysis when he has time to give it to you there. He'll also be here. So hit that subscribe button if you can. Hit that bell for alerts. Smash that like button and leave me a thought down below. What do you think? Will the artist respond? Do you think the label's going to get their say in this? I want to hear your thoughts, and make sure to join us later today live. We got lots to talk about. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Popcorn Planet.